Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Now, I believe Tim Ferriss said it best when he said that sleep is a meta skill that improves all of the aspects of your life. And I think it's so true. There are so many different paths you can go down with self-improvement, but one thing that's truly universal to your self-development is improving your sleep. I really do believe that. So it's really important that we get good sleep. And I'm going to talk over some of the things that have really helped my own journey with sleep, because I've never been a massively good sleeper. I've struggled to go to sleep at night, stayed up thinking about stuff, sometimes for several hours. I've struggled to get up early, and by early I mean before 11 o'clock. And I've done a lot of things over the past few months to really improve this. And I'm not perfect by any means, but the following things that I'm going to tell you, I think will be really helpful. So I'm going to go through a list of things that have helped me. I'm going to go through them in order of the most important things. And as I get down the list, there's going to be stuff that's more personal to me, stuff that's worked for me. And it might work for you, it might not. Sleep's a very personal thing, and not everything. You might find one thing from this list further down that really changes your life. It might have no impact at all. So take each thing as it comes, and yeah, it should be good. But we'll start with the most fundamental things. So the first thing I think, and if you had told me this piece of advice a year ago, I would completely roll my eyes, because to be honest, I hate this kind of advice. I think it's so. I don't really know, there's something I really don't like about this piece of advice, but I've got to give it credit, it really works. And that is to go to bed and get up at the same time every morning. So the reason why this is so effective, I think, is because you might be a bad sleeper, but you're still a creature of habit. And a lot of things that we're going to talk about in this list, they're really helpful. But frankly, a lot of the heavy lifting can just be done by establishing a time for yourself to go to bed and wake up every night. And you'll find that while it's good to rely on extra things like meditation and hot showers, if your body just knows that you go to bed at 11 o'clock in the evening, you'll just find you're getting yourself tired anyway. And obviously it's always good to do extra stuff on top of that. But if you get the fundamentals right, then you're almost halfway there already. So when it comes to going to bed at the same time every night, one thing that I recommend is you want to make it easy to stick to. It's very tempting, if you're establishing a sleep routine for the first time, to go for something that's over-ambitious, especially if you want to really make a change in your life. But go for something as close to normality as possible. So to give you an example, the first time I set a sleep routine for myself, I set it so that I was going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, and certainly that's not possible for a lot of people who have to get up for 9 to 5 or whatever. But I hope that illustrates that you don't have to be going to bed at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening. Just because it's a routine doesn't mean it has to be something crazy like that. So if you're more of a night owl, stick to what you know. Stick to something relatively late. So one other thing that I do is how I work out. So at the moment I go to bed at 12:30 and I get up at 9:30. Now how I've worked that out is I've established a time that it's easy for me to get into bed by, which is 12:30. And I've added 9 hours to the time I'm in bed. Now the reason I do 9 hours, to get me to 9:30. Now the reason I do 9 hours and not the standard 8 hours is because I find I need an hour to get me to sleep. Because if I don't have sufficient time to get myself to sleep, I will worry about getting to sleep. And if I worry about it, I'll stay up longer, and then I'm just in a negative loop where I won't get to sleep till really late. So if I go to bed and I leave myself more time than I need to go to sleep, it doesn't take me an hour to get to sleep, but I have that window sleep, to get sleep in, if that makes sense. Then I find I go to sleep much quicker because I'm not worried about it. So that's how I get 9:30, time to wake up. You might have to do the reverse. So if you have to get up at 7 for your job, minus 9 hours, that is 10 o'clock, you've got to be in bed. You might find that you don't need 9 hours to get yourself up at the time you need to. You might only need 8 hours. Maybe you only need 7 hours sleep, it depends. But work out something that you can stay consistent with. That's really the most important thing. And that's far more important than being some guy who gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning. That stuff's great, but the fundamentals is just stick to the routine. So above everything, what I want to stress with this is be realistic. And the other thing I want to say is, obviously there are going to be times where you're going to be staying up later than your normal bedtime. So let's say you've got social things or trains delayed on the commute home, or all manner of things can stop you getting to bed on the ideal time. If that happens to you, try to keep that to a minimum, but if it does happen to you, what you want to do to mitigate the damage to your routine is still get up at the same time. So let's say if I have a night out and I end up going to bed at 3 o'clock instead of 12:30, I'll still get up at 9:30. And that keeps the cycle going, because then I'll be tired that evening because I got less sleep. And so I'll go to bed earlier and then still get up at 9:30. So that's how you can mitigate damage where you do need to break the sleep cycle. And you really want to keep it to a minimum, which is why I stress be realistic over everything else. But that's what you do if you do need to stay up later. So that is bedtimes. That's how this is really going to do, if you do it properly, if you really take it seriously, and you manage to ingrain a routine into your body, you'll see a dramatic increase. For me, it was really amazing when I started. I just started feeling tired at the same time every night. That was amazing for me. So go to bed at the same time every night. The second thing is a bit more difficult, but basically you want to make sure that you're knackered by the time you go to bed. Now, there are two ways to knack yourself out. There is wearing yourself out physically and wearing yourself out mentally. Obviously, a lot of us do jobs where we're stuck on a computer all day, and the last thing that people want to do after that is to engage in some kind of exercise. But you'll see such a dramatic difference if you start exercising every day, because you just sleep so much better. So if you don't exercise regularly already, I really recommend you do that. That might even have more effects than a regular bedtime for you. Other than that, you want to, if you're doing exercise, you're going to the gym and stuff, and you're still feeling tired, and you feel like you're pushing as hard as you can, what are you doing after you go to the gym you want to find something you're doing during the day that's keeping you engaged. So maybe you're working a job that you don't particularly find enjoyable. Well, I think at that point you want to find some kind of lifestyle change. Something that gets you up in the morning, literally. Something that engages your brain during the day. That's really important. A lot of what I talk about on this channel is finding ways to get onto entrepreneurship and just find work that stretches you, but that has a purpose behind you. So that's more of a difficult thing to change overnight, but I really think that's fundamental. If you wake up and you work hard during the day and you're engaged with what you're doing, then you sleep much better as well. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is meditation. Now, even if you're working hard and you're going to bed at the same time and your body's tired, you can still hit the pillow, and no matter how tired you are or how established your routine is, you might still be overthinking when you go to sleep. This is a big problem that I've had, where I'll keep getting distracted by thoughts while I'm asleep. And one good thing that meditation can do is it can ground you more solidly in the here and now. And that means when you go to sleep, you're less likely to be distracted by intrusive thoughts that will distract you from getting to sleep. So If you don't already, if you want to implement some kind of meditation habit, a great way to do that is for just 5 minutes before you go to bed, just what I do is set a timer and close my eyes. And you can focus on all manner of things, but I find for getting myself sleepy, what the best thing to do is to focus on the sounds going on around me. So cars driving past my house, my breath, people walking by, machines, electronics that are buzzing in the background, and just the silence in between all those things. I find if I focus on that for 5-10 minutes, that's really great for getting myself back into my body, and I find that's very optimal for sleeping. But meditating any day is going to give you the practice of coming into your body and sleeping, being able to turn off thoughts that are keeping you awake. So if you don't already, definitely meditate, because it's more of a slow burner. It'll take a long time to get an established meditation practice and start seeing the results, but it's really worth it, and it comes through a plethora of other benefits as well. So meditation is really important. Okay, now we're getting some more specific things here. So some of these things, you might hear this and be like, fuck, that is exactly what's holding me back. That's going to change my sleep. Some of these, they might have nothing to do with you. So we'll go through them, and then we will see what works for you, basically. So one thing that's really going to improve your sleep, if you're someone who finds you're getting up in the middle of the night to go for a piss, is to practice Kegel exercises. Now, I'm not going to do a whole demonstration for you, but basically you've got the muscles that keep your urine, like hold the urine in your body, to put it crudely, are called Kegels. And I didn't realise this until quite recently, but you can actually strengthen these muscles by doing Kegel exercises. So there are some good YouTube videos about it. Just Google Kegel exercises and they'll show you how to do it. If you're someone who gets up for a piss in the night, that will distract your sleep a lot. And if you can just spend the whole night without being awoken by needing to go to the loo, you'll find a massive increase in your quality of sleep. I find I'm distracted by that a lot, which is really annoying. I wake up in the early hours of the morning and I need a piss, so I'll go outside, I'll rush outside, go for a piss, and then hop back into bed. But it's inconvenient, and over time as I practice these Kegels, I expect to see a reduction in how much I'm woken up by that kind of stuff. So they're really easy to do. Just do them for 2 minutes every day. You can literally do them while you're on the bus. It's very, very discreet, but if you're someone who needs to go to the loo a lot, that's something that's going to help you. Okay, something that's really helped me is something that, well, we haven't talked about it much, but basically sunlight. So if you know Andrew Huberman, he talks a lot about sunlight and its effects on our ability to sleep. He says if you get sunlight early in the morning and late at night, before the sun goes down, your sleep quality will increase dramatically. Now, I do this and I find it's quite helpful, but what I found really helpful is after the sun goes down, even if I'm not going straight into bed, what I do is I turn off the lights in my room or the place where I'm residing at that point in time, and I have a side light or some LEDs that I put on the red setting and keep them on, but I keep the main light off, so I dampen down the lights in my home. And this, first of all, it just has a fantastic psychological benefit because you feel like you're a caveman retreating to your den, and it's really good effects on your mental state, but it really helps you wind down. You don't really realise how much lights keep you awake until you try something like that. So yeah, if you're at home for the last few hours before you go to sleep, keep all the side lights on, make sure you can still see, but turn off all the overhead lights, because that's a great way of messaging to your brain that it's time to go to sleep. Okay, reading. Reading is a real game changer for getting to sleep. There's something about reading, I don't know what it is, but it gets you into that meditative state that we were talking about earlier. So, if you want to, this is again a great opportunity to get a habit of reading every day into your life. I find that most reading I can do, and it makes me feel sleepy, especially if I do it for an extended period of time, half an hour to an hour. What people swear by, actually Tim Ferriss says this as well, is reading fantasy novels. So stuff like Lord of the Rings, or stuff that is takes you to another world. So if you're into that kind of stuff, if you're into, I guess, history books will work quite well as well. Something that takes you away from the preoccupations that you're thinking about at the moment. Because one problem that I've had is that the books that I'm reading are on entrepreneurship. So I'll pick them up and it'll just get me fired up. I'll be reading it and I'll think, fuck, what am I doing going to bed? I need to make some money. But I think, meanwhile, with a fantasy novel, you don't really have that problem. But really, I think any kind of reading will help you if you do it for long enough. So reading's great. Just wears your brain out, makes you really tired. Okay, next thing is keeping electronics in a different room. Now this one's really inconvenient. Some people will swear by this, some people don't. But I find it's much nicer if I just have all electronics out of my room. I don't really know if it improves my sleep, but I just like it. So I'll take my laptop and put it in a drawer in the living room. I'll charge my phone outside my room, and that will... It makes sense. It makes sense. Your room needs to be somewhere where you're not... Your bedroom needs to be somewhere where you just can wind down and you're not... All you need to focus on really is going to sleep. You don't want to be distracted by, let's say your phone goes off, or your computer's there and you're just thinking, oh, I could check my emails or whatever. If it's out of your room, it's amazing how quickly you forget about it. And I'm in two minds about whether it really is a game changer for my sleep, but I like it. I like going to bed and there's no electronics in my room. So that's something you can try. And also with that, when you get up in the morning, you won't go on your phone because it's in the other room. So that's another great advantage. A lot of my housemates really laugh at me for doing that, but I'm the one that's laughing long term. So, okay, the next thing is... Okay, here's quite an interesting one. A lot of people will say, if you can't sleep within 20 minutes, get up and do some stretching, do some reading, because you want to associate your bed with sleep. Now, I can see where people are coming from with this advice, but I actually advise against it, especially if you struggle to get sleep. Because 20 minutes is not that long. And especially if you're like me, you're anxious about getting to sleep, you'll very quickly start worrying about, oh, has 20 minutes gone yet? Should I get up? So even if I can't get to sleep, I don't really bother with getting out of bed and stretching. If it's been a few hours and I can't get to sleep, I'll get up and do some stretching or read a book or whatever. But otherwise, once I'm in bed, I just think, you're in now, just shut up and go to sleep. And that can actually be quite effective. Especially if you tell yourself that you're just in bed, you don't have to go to sleep, but you're just going to lie there and until the alarm goes off, basically. That can be quite effective. So that's kind of one bit of advice that I disagree with. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is something quite beautiful, I think. And that is that when you're going to sleep, you know how we're saying that you can be distracted by certain things, you can be distracted by your ambitions or things you're worrying about. Well, a good thing to think about when you're getting to sleep, a good way to, because people often say, oh, just don't think about that stuff, but it's very hard to do that without there being an obvious antidote to that. And something that I like to do that I find that counteracts that quite well is to think about something you're excited about or your big goal in a year or 2 years' time, what's your big thing that you're going to be really excited about? So for me, one thing that I think about is the YouTube. I think about what kind of life I want to lead, especially with the travel vlogs. I think to myself, I'm going to Georgia over the summer, and I imagine myself vlogging my experience in Georgia. Or in the future, I want to do some vlogs about Greece. I want to film inner city life in these cities like Athens and Thessaloniki, because everyone knows Santorini and all these beautiful beaches and islands. But I think it'd be so cool to vlog the inner city life of Greece. And anyway, when I'm going to sleep, I often think about this plan, and it really excites me, and I almost enter into my own world as I'm imagining it. And similar to the fantasy novels, I find that really gets me to sleep. And it's a very pleasant thing to think about as well. So if there's something you're passionate about, or something that you've got some kind of dream or aspiration, it's a beautiful way to go to sleep. It's just thinking about something like that. So anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching this video. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.